Captain Jake Morrison stared at the broken pieces of metal floating in space. 15 years had passed since the aliens left Earth. The Corvani had been humanity's friends for over 100 years. They shared their technology and helped humans build cities among the stars. Then one day they packed everything and disappeared without saying goodbye. Jake commanded the New Horizon, a small ship built from alien scrap metal and human spare parts. His crew worked hard every day to keep the old ship flying. Lisa Barnes fixed the engines when they broke down. Dan Rodriguez cleaned the weapons that barely worked anymore. Amy Foster tried to talk to other human ships with their weak radio system. The ship moved slowly through the asteroid belt near Mars. Jake looked for pirates who stole supplies from Earth's colonies. Most humans lived on Earth now because space was too dangerous without alien protection. Only the bravest people stayed in the colonies on Mars and the Moon. Jake remembered when he was young and aliens walked through Earth's cities. The Corvani looked like tall humans with silver skin and large black eyes. They spoke perfect English and seemed to care about human progress. They built schools to teach human children about science and space travel. They shared medicines that could cure any disease. Then the Great Departure happened. Jake was a young pilot then, flying cargo ships between Earth and Mars. One morning, all the alien ships in Earth's orbit started moving away from the planet. The Corvani sent one message to Earth's leaders. It said they had to leave immediately and could not return. Within 3 days, every alien ship, station, and person had vanished into deep space. Humanity was left with broken pieces of alien technology that stopped working without proper maintenance. Most alien computers would not respond to human commands. The power sources ran out of energy, and nobody knew how to refill them. Space elevators crashed to Earth when their alien control systems failed. Amy Foster's voice broke Jake's thoughts. "Captain, I'm getting a strange signal from Sector 7. It's very weak, but the pattern looks alien." Jake turned his chair toward her workstation. "Are you sure it's not space junk?" Amy shook her head. "The signal is too organized. Something is definitely transmitting from inside that big asteroid." Lisa Barnes looked up from her engine repair. "Work. Maybe the pirates found some working alien tech." Dan Rodriguez checked his weapon systems. "Should we investigate or call for backup?" Jake thought about their options. The nearest human ship was 3 days away. If pirates had found valuable alien technology, they needed to stop them before the criminals escaped. Earth needed every piece of alien equipment they could find. "Set course for Sector 7, Jake ordered. "Keep weapons ready, but don't look threatening. We'll take a closer look." The New Horizon moved toward the large asteroid that Amy had detected. As they got closer, Jake saw that something was wrong with the rock's shape. Natural asteroids were usually round or oval, but this one had flat sides and strange angles. "That's not a real asteroid," Lisa said. "Someone hollowed it out and put something inside." Amy's equipment started beeping faster. "The signal is getting stronger. It's definitely coming from inside that rock." Jake ordered Dan to prepare for possible combat. The ship's weapons were old and weak, but they might be enough to scare away pirates. As they flew around the asteroid, Jake saw a hidden entrance covered by metal plates that matched the rock's color. "There," Jake pointed. "Fly us through that opening." The New Horizon entered a huge hollow space inside the asteroid. Jake's breath caught in his throat when he saw what was hidden there. A massive alien warship sat in the center of the hollow asteroid. The ship was bigger than anything Jake had ever seen. Its silver hull gleamed under their ship's lights. "That's a Corvani dreadnought," Amy whispered. "I've seen pictures in the old military files." Lisa stared at the enormous ship. "What's it doing here?" "The aliens took all their big ships when they left." Jake flew the New Horizon closer to the alien vessel. The warship's hull showed burn marks and holes from some ancient battle, but most of the ship looked intact. Lights still glowed in some of its windows. "It's still powered," Dan said with excitement. "Some of its systems are still working." Amy checked her radio equipment. "The signal is coming from that ship. It's broadcasting some kind of automated message." Jake made a decision that would change everything for humanity. "Prepare the docking tubes. We're going aboard." Lisa looked worried. "Captain, that ship could be dangerous." We don't know why the aliens left it here. We need to find out, Jake replied. Earth is dying slowly without alien technology. If that ship has working systems, we have to learn from them. The crew prepared for the dangerous mission. They put on their spacesuits and checked their air supplies. Dan brought a small weapon in case they found hostile aliens or pirates inside the ship. Jake led his crew through the docking tube and into the alien vessel. The ship's interior was dark, except for emergency lighting. The air was stale but breathable. Their footsteps echoed in the empty corridors. Amy found a working computer terminal and connected her translation device. Alien text appeared on the screen. Her equipment slowly converted the words into English. It's a log entry, Amy said. The last entry was made 15 years ago, right before the Great Departure. Jake read the translated text over her shoulder. The words made his blood run cold. The log spoke of an ancient enemy approaching from deep space. Something called the Devourers had destroyed entire star systems. The Corvani had fled Earth not because they wanted to leave, but because they were running for their lives. The final entry contained a warning for anyone who found the ship. The Devourers consumed everything in their path. They turned living worlds into empty rocks. And according to the alien calculations, they were coming toward Earth. Admiral Kate Sullivan read the report from Jake Morrison's mission 3 times before she believed it. The Corvani dreadnought was real, and it was filled with working alien technology. But the news about the Devourers made her stomach feel sick. Earth had bigger problems than broken alien equipment and space pirates. Kate called an emergency meeting at Earth Defense Headquarters in Colorado. The mountain facility had been built during humanity's golden age with alien help. Now most of its advanced systems sat broken and useless. She sat across from Director Paul Mitchell, the head of Earth's Colonial Council. Paul looked tired and old. His gray hair was messy and his clothes were wrinkled. Admiral, if these Devourers are real, we should start evacuation plans immediately. We need to move as many people as possible to the outer colonies. Kate shook her head. Running away won't solve anything. The aliens tried that and look what happened to them. We need to study this ship and learn how to fight. Fight with what? Paul demanded. Our weapons are toys compared to alien technology. You read Morrison's report. This enemy destroys entire civilizations. Kate stood up and walked to the large window that looked out over the Rocky Mountains. Then we better learn fast. Engineer Barnes thinks she can figure out how the alien systems work. This might be our only chance to level the playing field. Lisa Barnes was already working inside the alien dreadnought when Kate arrived at the Gyowa asteroid base. The engineer had been living on the ship for 2 weeks, barely sleeping or eating. Her team included Dr. Sam Carter, Earth's best computer specialist, and Nina Walsh, who understood alien energy systems better than anyone alive. Show me what you found, Kate said to Lisa. Lisa led the Admiral through corridors filled with strange alien machinery. The ship was enormous, with over 50 decks and thousands of rooms. Most areas were still sealed or too damaged to enter safely. The aliens built this ship differently than their others, Lisa explained. Most Corvani technology only responds to their brain patterns, but this ship has backup systems designed for other species to use. Dr. Carter looked up from a computer terminal covered in alien symbols. It's like they knew someone else might need to operate their equipment someday. The ship is slowly teaching us how to use its systems. Nina Walsh showed Kate the ship's power center. The room was filled with a soft blue glow from the alien reactor. The power source is incredible. It produces more energy than our biggest nuclear plants, but we can't figure out how it works. Kate watched the engineers work with tools that looked like toys next to the alien machinery. How long before you can make real progress? Months, maybe years, Lisa admitted. Every system is connected to every other system. We can't understand one part without understanding the whole ship. Jake Morrison joined them in the power room. He had been exploring the ship's weapon systems with Dan Rodriguez and Tony Garcia, a veteran pilot who had joined their expanded crew. Colonel Ryan Hayes led a small team of Marines who provided security while the scientists worked. We found something disturbing in the medical bay, Jake said. The aliens were collecting genetic samples from dozens of different species, including humans. Dr. Carter frowned. Genetic samples? What for? Jake led them to the ship's medical section. Glass containers filled with strange liquids lined the walls. Each container was labeled in alien writing that Amy Foster had learned to translate. They were studying evolution, Jake explained. The aliens picked out species they thought could survive and advance if given the right help. Kate stared at a container labeled with human DNA markers. They were preparing backup plans. The Corvani knew they might lose to the Devourers, so they tried to create successor species. Lisa touched one of the medical computers and information flowed across its screen. This is incredible. They have genetic data from civilizations that died out thousands of years ago. They were trying to preserve knowledge and life from across the galaxy. Admiral Sullivan realized the full weight of what they had discovered. The alien ship was not just a weapon or a treasure chest of technology. It was a lifeboat designed to preserve civilization itself. But she also knew that humanity would never accept simply running away to start over somewhere else. Paul Mitchell arrived at the asteroid base 3 days later. He brought a team of politicians and colonial administrators who wanted to see the alien ship for themselves. Kate watched them walk through the corridors with wonder and fear in their eyes. The ship could carry 2 million people, Paul said after touring the vessel. We could evacuate Earth's most important scientists and leaders. Start fresh on a world far from the Devourers. Kate disagreed strongly. 2 million people out of 8 billion? What about everyone else? What about Earth itself? Dr. Carter made an important discovery while the politicians argued. He found the ship's artificial intelligence system deep in its computer core. The AI had been waiting patiently for someone to activate it properly. "Hello," the AI said in perfect English when Carter connected the right circuits. "I am the ship's guidance system. You may call me Oracle." The AI's voice was calm and friendly, like a helpful teacher. Kate asked it about the Devourers and learned more terrible facts. The enemy traveled in massive fleets that could destroy star systems. They consumed everything useful and left dead worlds behind them. "Why did the Corvani run instead of fighting?" Kate asked. Oracle paused before answering. "The Corvani tried to fight the Devourers for thousands of years. They always lost. Running and hiding became their only strategy for survival." Jake Morrison had been listening to the conversation. "What if we don't run? What if we stand and fight?" "That would be inadvisable," Oracle replied. "The Devourers have destroyed civilizations far more advanced than current humanity." Lisa Barnes spoke up from where she was working on a weapons control panel. "But we're not the same as those other civilizations. Humans think differently than aliens do." Oracle seemed to consider this idea. "Explain the difference." "We're stubborn," Jake said with a slight smile. "We don't give up even when we should. And we're good at making things work that weren't designed to work together." Kate watched her people working alongside alien technology and felt a spark of hope. Lisa Barnes was connecting human computer systems to alien machinery in ways that probably violated every engineering rule ever written. Dr. Carter was teaching the Oracle AI about human psychology and military tactics. Even the Marines were finding creative ways to use alien tools as weapons. "Oracle," Kate said, "would you be willing to help us modify this ship for combat instead of evacuation?" The AI was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke again, its voice sounded almost curious. "That was not my original programming, but I am designed to adapt to new situations. If you believe combat is preferable to evacuation, I will assist you." Paul Mitchell shook his head sadly. "You're making a terrible mistake. This ship could save millions of lives by carrying them to safety." Kate looked around at her people working with determination and creativity that impressed even an ancient alien AI. "Director, maybe saving lives isn't enough anymore. Maybe it's time to start saving our future." 6 months had passed since the discovery of the alien dreadnought. Lisa Barnes barely recognized the ship anymore. Her engineering teams had been working around the clock to combine human technology with Corvani systems. The result was something neither species had ever imagined. The Oracle AI had become more helpful as it learned about human thinking. It seemed fascinated by humanity's willingness to break rules and try impossible things. The AI helped Lisa's team understand alien engineering principles while learning human problem-solving methods. "The Devourers are no longer theoretical," Dr. Sam Carter announced during the morning briefing. "Long-range sensors have detected their approach. Massive artificial structures moving between star systems, leaving dead worlds behind." Jake Morrison studied the sensor data on the main display. Dark shapes the size of moons drifted through space, surrounded by clouds of smaller vessels. Entire solar systems went dark as the structures passed through them. "How long before they reach Earth?" Admiral Kate Sullivan asked. Carter checked his calculations twice before answering. 38 years at their current speed, but these are just long-range scouts. The main fleet could arrive much sooner. Kate felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Earth's population had grown to over 8 billion people. The colonial settlements on Mars and the outer moons held another million. Evacuating everyone was impossible, but standing and fighting seemed like suicide. Lisa Barnes interrupted her dark thoughts. "Admiral, we're ready for the first real test flight. The ship's primary systems are online and responding to human control." Jake Morrison would pilot the test mission with a skeleton crew. Navigator Ben Cooper had spent weeks learning the alien navigation systems. Engineer Carlos Lopez understood the ship's power distribution better than anyone except Lisa herself. The ship had been renamed Eternal Dominion by the crew, keeping its original Corvani designation. Kate thought the name was appropriate. If humanity was going to make a stand, they needed something eternal and dominant. "Remember, this is just a shakedown cruise," Kate warned Jake before he boarded the ship. "Test the basic systems and come home safely. We can't afford to lose you or the ship." Jake nodded, but privately he had other plans. The Oracle AI had detected strange signals from the outer system. Something was already out there, watching and waiting. If it was connected to the Devourers, Jake wanted to know about it. The Eternal Dominion left the asteroid base under its own power for the first time. The ship's engines produced a deep humming sound that vibrated through the hull. Jake felt the enormous vessel respond to his commands like a living creature. "All systems show green," Carlos reported from the engineering station. "Power output is stable, and we're maintaining full life support." Ben Cooper plotted a course toward the edge of the solar system where the mysterious signals originated. The ship accelerated smoothly, reaching speeds that would have torn apart any human-built vessel. The Oracle AI spoke through the ship's communication system. "Captain Morrison, I must advise caution. The signals you are investigating match Devourer scout patterns." Jake exchanged glances with his crew. They had talked about this possibility during their planning sessions. If Devourer scouts were already in Earth's solar system, waiting would only make things worse. "Oracle, what can you tell us about scout ships?" Jake asked. "Devourer scouts are typically 1/10 the size of this vessel. They are fast, well-armed, and controlled by artificial intelligence similar to myself. Their purpose is to study potential targets and report back to the main fleet." Carlos Lopez monitored the ship's weapon systems from his station. The alien energy weapons were more powerful than anything humans had ever built, but the crew was still learning how to use them effectively. 3 hours into their flight, Ben Cooper detected the source of the mysterious signals. A dark metallic object drifted near Pluto's orbit, its surface covered with sensor equipment and communication arrays. "That's definitely not human or Corvani," Ben said. "The design is completely different from anything in our databases." Jake ordered battle stations as they approached the alien scout ship. The vessel was smaller than the Eternal Dominion, but still larger than most human warships. Its hull was black and seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The scout ship detected their approach and immediately changed course to intercept them. Jake realized with growing alarm that the alien vessel was much faster than expected. It closed the distance between them in minutes rather than hours. "Incoming transmission," Carlos reported. "It's not using radio waves. The signal is going directly into our computer systems." The Oracle AI responded immediately. "Do not allow that signal to reach our main computers. Devourer scout ships use viral programs to disable enemy vessels." Jake ordered all non-essential systems disconnected from the main network. The ship's human-built components were isolated from the alien systems that the enemy signal might affect. The scout ship opened. Fire first. Beams of purple energy struck the Eternal Dominion's shields, causing the entire ship to shake violently. Alarms sounded throughout the vessel as power fluctuated. "Shields holding at 60%, Carlos reported. "But we can't take many more hits like that." Jake maneuvered the massive dreadnought like a fighter pilot, using its surprising agility to avoid the scout ship's weapons. The alien vessel was faster, But the Eternal Dominion was more heavily armored and had much stronger shields. "Return fire," Jake ordered. The ship's main weapons discharged with a sound like thunder. Bolts of blue energy struck the scout ship's hull, but the enemy vessel's shields absorbed most of the damage. The battle continued for 20 minutes as both ships maneuvered through Pluto's orbit. Jake quickly learned that the scout ship's advantages were speed and agility, while the Eternal Dominion had superior firepower and defenses. Ben Cooper made a crucial observation during the fight. "Captain, the enemy ship's attack patterns are completely predictable. It's following programmed combat routines." Jake realized that the scout ship was controlled by artificial intelligence without the creative thinking that humans brought to combat situations. The Oracle AI was helping them fight, but it still thought like a logical computer program. "Oracle, can you predict the enemy ship's next attack pattern?" Jake asked. "Analyzing," the AI replied. "The scout ship will attempt to disable our engines with its next attack sequence." Jake used this knowledge to set a trap. He positioned the Eternal Dominion to make the engines look vulnerable while actually protecting them with the ship's strongest shields. When the scout ship attacked exactly as predicted, Jake was ready with a counterattack. The Dreadnought's weapons struck the scout ship's unprotected rear section. The enemy vessel's shields failed and its hull began to break apart, but instead of trying to escape, the damaged ship turned toward the Eternal Dominion for a suicide attack. "It's going to ram us," Ben shouted. Jake threw the ship into a steep dive, using gravity from a nearby asteroid to change direction faster than the ship's engines alone could manage. The scout ship missed by less than a kilometer and exploded when its damaged reactor overloaded. The crew cheered their victory, but Jake felt worried rather than victorious. The scout ship had been tough and dangerous, and it was supposedly much smaller and weaker than the main Devourer fleet. Carlos Lopez detected something useful in the wreckage. "Captain, the enemy ship's computer core is still intact. We might be able to extract information from it." They spent several hours carefully retrieving the alien computer from the debris field. The Oracle AI was excited about the opportunity to study Devourer technology and learn about their enemy's capabilities. Back at the asteroid base, Dr. Carter and his team began analyzing the captured computer core. What they found confirmed everyone's worst fears. The Devourers had been watching Earth for decades, studying human technology and military capabilities. The scout ship's database contained detailed maps of Earth's defenses, population centers, and resource locations. It also held communication records showing that other scout ships were positioned throughout human space. Admiral Sullivan called another emergency meeting after reviewing the intelligence data. "The enemy knows everything about us, but we know almost nothing about them. We need more information if we're going to have any chance of stopping them." Jake Morrison volunteered to take the Eternal Dominion on more dangerous missions to hunt down other scout ships. Each enemy vessel they captured would provide more intelligence about Devourer capabilities and weaknesses. Lisa Barnes had already begun modifying the ship based on what they learned from the first battle. Human engineering techniques were being combined with alien technology in ways that surprised even the Oracle AI. "We're creating something new," Lisa told Kate during one of their planning sessions. "Not human, not Corvani, but something that combines the best of both species." Dr. Sam Carter stared at the alien technology spread across his laboratory tables. The captured Devourer scout ship had revealed secrets that changed everything humanity thought they knew about their enemy. The ship was not entirely mechanical, like human or Corvani vessels. Parts of it were grown rather than built. "It's biotechnology," Carter explained to Admiral Kate Sullivan during their morning briefing. "The Devourers combine living tissue with mechanical components. Their ships can repair themselves and adapt to new threats." Lisa Barnes looked up from the alien component she was studying. "That explains why their weapons are so effective. The ships learn from each battle and become harder to defeat." Kate felt a chill run down her spine. An enemy that could adapt and improve with each encounter would be nearly impossible to stop with conventional tactics. But she also saw an opportunity in Carter's discovery. If their ships are partially alive, they might have weaknesses that purely mechanical vessels don't have, Kate said. "Diseases, toxins, things that affect living tissue." Carter nodded eagerly. "That's exactly what I was thinking. We've been developing countermeasures based on the biological components we recovered." The Eternal Dominion had become humanity's testing ground for these new weapons and defenses. Engineer Mike Taylor led teams that installed Earth-built rail guns alongside alien energy weapons. Weapons expert Helen Price worked on creating hybrid ammunition that could damage both mechanical and biological components. Jake Morrison supervised the installation of new systems throughout the ship. His crew had grown larger as more specialists joined the project. Steve Miller handled tactical planning, Dr. Laura Johnson managed the medical bay, and Pete Williams served as chief engineer under Lisa Barnes. The Oracle AI had been studying human military history and found inspiration in unexpected places. Captain Morrison, I have analyzed thousands of human conflicts. Your species excels at unconventional warfare and surprise attacks. Jake smiled at the AI's growing understanding of human nature. We're good at cheating when the rules don't work. In our favor. Precisely, Oracle replied. The Devourers expect their enemies to follow logical combat patterns. Human unpredictability could be a significant advantage. The ship's modifications progressed rapidly as human creativity merged. With alien engineering, Lisa Barnes installed backup systems for every critical component, knowing that redundancy was more important than efficiency in combat. Her teams also added human-designed armor plating that could be quickly replaced during battle. Helen Price made a breakthrough in weapons technology by combining human explosives with alien energy fields. The hybrid warheads could punch through Devourer bioarmor more effectively than either technology alone. Jake took the modified ship on increasingly dangerous missions to test its new capabilities. They hunted down more Devourer scout ships, each battle providing valuable combat experience and intelligence data. During one mission near Jupiter, they encountered a scout ship that had learned from previous battles. The enemy vessel used new tactics and weapons that hadn't appeared in earlier encounters. It's adapting, Steve Miller reported from the tactical station. The enemy ship is using attack patterns we've never seen before. Jake realized they were fighting an arms race in real time. The Devourers were learning from each encounter just as quickly as humanity was. But humans had one advantage that their enemy might not expect. Oracle, show the scout ship our standard attack pattern, Jake ordered. Make it look like we're following the same tactics as before. The AI seemed confused by the request. Captain, that would be tactically unsound. The enemy has already developed countermeasures for those attacks. Trust me, Jake said with a grin. Sometimes the best strategy is to make your enemy think they know what you're going to do. The Eternal Dominion began its attack using predictable patterns that the scout ship easily countered. The enemy vessel moved into position for what should have been a decisive strike against the human ship's apparent weakness. Instead, Jake triggered hidden weapons that Helen Price had installed in unexpected locations. Railgun projectiles struck the scout ship from angles that should have been impossible. The enemy vessel's adaptive defenses couldn't compensate for attacks that violated basic physics principles. The scout ship was destroyed, but not before transmitting data about the battle to other Devourer forces. Jake knew that future encounters would be even more challenging as the enemy learned to expect human unpredictability. Back at the asteroid base, Admiral Sullivan faced growing pressure from Director Paul Mitchell and the Colonial Council. Earth's governments were demanding answers about the secret military project that was consuming enormous resources. The Devourers will arrive in less than 30 years, Paul argued during a heated council meeting. We should be building evacuation ships, not superweapons that might not work. Kate stood firm in her conviction that fighting was humanity's best option. The Eternal Dominion gives us a chance to defend ourselves. Running away just delays the inevitable. One ship against an entire alien fleet? Paul shook his head. You're gambling with 8 billion lives. Kate had spent sleepless nights asking herself the same question. Was she making the right choice by focusing on military preparation instead of evacuation? The captured intelligence suggested that even evacuation might not save humanity in the long run. The Oracle AI had revealed more disturbing facts about the Devourers during its analysis of captured data. The alien swarm didn't just destroy civilizations, they followed them across the galaxy to eliminate any survivors. The Devourers have been active for thousands of years, Oracle explained to Kate during one of their private conversations. They have destroyed hundreds of advanced civilizations. Some species tried to run and hide, but the Devourers always found them eventually. Kate realized that Director Mitchell's evacuation plans might doom humanity to a slower death. The Devourers would hunt down any human colonies that tried to escape, picking them off one by one across the centuries. Dr. Carter made another important discovery while studying the biological components of Devourer technology. The alien tissue samples showed signs of artificial enhancement and genetic manipulation. "They're not a natural species," Carter announced to the research team. "The Devourers were created by someone else, probably as a weapon of war." Lisa Barnes paused in her work on the ship's engine modifications. Created by who? And why are they still active if their creators are gone? Carter pulled up genetic analysis data on his computer screen. The biological components show traces of at least 12 different species. Someone or something combined, the best traits from multiple civilizations to create the perfect destroyer. Jake Morrison listened to the briefing with growing understanding. The Devourers weren't just another alien species competing for resources. They were a weapon that had outlasted whoever built them and continued their original programming across the galaxy. "That might be their weakness," Jake said thoughtfully. "If they're following ancient programming, they might not be able to adapt to completely new situations." The Oracle AI considered this possibility. Captain Morrison raises an interesting point. The Devourers appear to follow consistent patterns across thousands of years. They may be limited by their original design parameters. Kate saw an opportunity in this revelation. If the Devourers were essentially a very sophisticated weapon system, they might have the same limitations as any other programmed device. Human creativity and unpredictability could exploit those limitations. The modifications to the Eternal Dominion entered their final phase as the ship was transformed into something unprecedented. Human engineering had been grafted onto alien technology in ways that created entirely new capabilities. Lisa Barnes stood in the ship's main hangar and marveled at what they had accomplished. Railguns sat next to energy weapons. Human armor plating covered alien hull materials and hybrid. Computer systems linked technologies from 3 different species. "We've built something that no one else in the galaxy has ever imagined," Lisa told Kate during the final inspection. "The question is whether it will be enough." Kate looked around at her crew preparing for the greatest battle in human history. Jake Morrison was training new pilots on the ship's complex systems. Dr. Carter was loading the medical bay with treatments for both human and alien injuries. Helen Price was checking weapon systems that could hopefully damage enemies that adapted to conventional attacks. The Admiral made a decision that would define humanity's future. The Eternal Dominion would not be used for evacuation or hiding. It would become the flagship of Earth's defense, proving that sometimes the best way to preserve your species is to stand and fight for what you believe in. The Devourer main fleet emerged from hyperspace like a nightmare made real. Admiral Jake Morrison watched the sensor displays from the bridge of the Human Defiance, the ship's new name reflecting humanity's refusal to surrender. The enemy vessels were massive beyond imagination, each mothership the size of Earth's moon and accompanied by millions of smaller craft. Jake had been promoted to Admiral after proving the ship's effectiveness in dozens of battles against scout forces. His original crew had grown into the core command staff of humanity's most powerful weapon. Lisa Barnes served as his executive officer, Dan Rodriguez commanded tactical operations, and Carlos Lopez kept the hybrid systems running smoothly. The Human Defiance hung in space near Mars, surrounded by the remnants of Earth's defense fleet. Every functional human warship had been gathered for this final battle, but they looked like toys compared to the approaching Devourer armada. "Enemy fleet composition analysis complete," reported Steve Miller from the tactical station. "Over 3,000 capital ships, 15 motherships, and approximately 2 million support vessels." Admiral Kate Sullivan's voice crackled over the communications system from her flagship, the rebuilt Earth cruiser Resilience. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan. Today we make our stand. Remember that we're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for the right of life to exist in this galaxy." Jake felt the weight of 8 billion human lives depending on their success. The evacuation ships had managed to move only 50 million people to the outer colonies before the Devourer fleet arrived ahead of schedule. Everyone else remained on Earth, hoping that their military could accomplish the impossible. The Oracle AI had spent months analyzing Devourer tactics and capabilities based on captured intelligence. Its findings were both encouraging and terrifying. The enemy was incredibly powerful but followed predictable patterns developed over thousands of years of easy victories. "Captain, I mean Admiral," Lisa Barnes said with a slight smile. "The ship is ready for combat. All hybrid systems are online and responding perfectly. The human Defiance had been transformed beyond recognition during its final modifications. Earth-built railguns sat alongside Corvani energy weapons. Human armor plating protected alien shield generators. Most importantly, the ship's computer systems combined human creativity with alien processing power and captured Devourer biotechnology. Dr. Laura Johnson coordinated the medical teams throughout the ship, while Dr. Sam Carter monitored the biological warfare systems they had developed. If the Devourers were partially organic, humanity would exploit that weakness with everything they had learned about their enemy's biology. The first Devourer. Attack came without warning. Beams of purple energy reached across millions of kilometers to strike Earth's orbital defenses. Entire space stations disappeared in flashes of light as the alien weapons carved through human shields and armor like they weren't there. Jake ordered. The human Defiance forward as Earth's fleet began its fighting retreat toward the inner solar system. The ship's hybrid engines produced more thrust than any vessel its size should have been capable of generating. "All weapons, open fire," Jake commanded. The ship's arsenal unleashed destruction that combined the best of three different technologies. Human railguns fired projectiles at incredible velocities, while Corvani energy weapons discharged bursts of pure force. The hybrid warheads that Helen Price had developed struck Devourer hulls and released biological agents designed to attack, their organic components. The enemy vessels reacted with surprise as their bio-armor began failing under the chemical assault. No previous opponent had developed weapons specifically designed to target their biological vulnerabilities. "Direct hit on the lead mothership," Dan Rodriguez reported with excitement. "Their bio-armor is dissolving and we're seeing secondary explosions throughout their hull structure." But the Devourers adapted quickly to the new threat. Their ships began modifying their biological components in real time, developing resistance to humanity's chemical weapons. The initial advantage lasted only minutes before the enemy vessels became immune to further biological attacks. Jake had expected this adaptation and was ready with new tactics. The Oracle AI helped coordinate attacks that changed constantly, never giving the Devourers time to fully adapt to any single strategy. The battle moved through the solar system as humanity's fleet conducted a fighting retreat toward Earth. Ships were lost on both sides, but the Devourers could afford their casualties while humanity could not. Every human vessel destroyed was irreplaceable. Captain Tony Garcia led a squadron of converted cargo ships in desperate attacks against Devourer support vessels. Commander Nina Walsh commanded the orbital defense platforms around Mars, buying precious time for civilian evacuations to continue. The human Defiance served as both command ship and the fleet's most powerful weapon. Its hybrid systems allowed it to coordinate attacks across the entire battle zone while delivering devastating firepower against enemy capital ships. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the lead Devourer mothership," Amy Foster reported from the communications station. "It's directed specifically at our ship." The transmission came in perfect English, spoken by a voice that sounded artificially calm. "Human vessel, you have caused unexpected resistance. Surrender now and your species will be processed efficiently. Continue fighting and we will ensure your extinction is painful." Jake smiled grimly. The fact that the Devourers were talking meant they were concerned about something. "Tell them that humanity doesn't surrender to anyone, especially not to artificial predators that should have been scrapped thousands of years ago." The insult had its intended effect. The Devourer fleet focused their attacks on the human Defiance with obvious anger. Jake used their emotional response against them, leading the enemy ships into carefully prepared ambushes. Dr. Carter made a crucial discovery during the battle's climax. The Devourer ships used a hive mind communication system that could be disrupted by the right kind of interference. Working with the Oracle AI, they developed a computer virus designed to spread chaos through the enemy fleet. "It has to be delivered directly into their primary communication node," Carter explained during a brief tactical pause. "One of our ships needs to get close enough to establish a direct connection." Jake knew immediately which ship would have to make the dangerous approach. The human Defiance was the only vessel with systems sophisticated enough to penetrate Devourer defenses and deliver the virus. "All crew prepare for final assault," Jake announced over the ship's internal communication system. "We're going to fly directly into the enemy formation and show them what happens when you underestimate humanity." The ship accelerated toward the largest Devourer mothership, dodging weapons fire that could vaporize smaller vessels. Lisa Barnes rerouted power from non-essential systems to strengthen the shields. Carlos Lopez pushed the engines beyond their design limits. "Shield strength down to 30%, Dan Rodriguez called out as more enemy fire struck their hull. "We can't take much more damage." Jake guided the ship through the defensive fire with skills learned during years of combat against Devourer scouts. The mothership grew larger on their view screen until it filled their entire field of vision. "Connecting to enemy communication system," Dr. Carter reported. "Uploading virus now." The computer virus spread through the Devourer fleet like wildfire. Ships that had been coordinating perfectly suddenly began attacking each other. The hive mind communication system turned into a weapon against itself as confusion and false orders spread throughout their formation. Several crew members were lost during the desperate attack run, including Pete Williams and Steve Miller, who sacrificed themselves to keep critical systems running. Their deaths weighed heavily on Jake, but he knew they had accomplished something unprecedented. The Devourer fleet retreated in confusion, their perfect coordination shattered by human ingenuity and the willingness to take desperate risks. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy's apex predators had been forced to flee from their intended victims. Jake stood on the bridge of the damaged but victorious human Defiance and watched the enemy ships disappear into hyperspace. Earth was safe for now, but he knew the Devourers would return eventually with countermeasures for humanity's tactics. Admiral Kate Sullivan's voice came over the communication system with obvious relief and pride. "All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan. The enemy fleet has withdrawn. Earth remains free." The celebration throughout the solar system was brief. Everyone understood that this was just the first round of a longer war. But humanity had proven something important to themselves and to the galaxy. They had taken alien scrap and built something that could challenge forces that had destroyed civilizations far more advanced than their own. Lisa Barnes looked around the damaged bridge where her friends and crewmates had fought the impossible battle. "What do we do now?" Jake smiled and gestured toward the captured Devourer technology that Dr. Carter's teams were already studying. "Now we get ready for round 2, but this time, we'll be the ones with the technological advantage." The human Defiance had become more than a ship. It was proof that human determination and creativity could overcome any challenge. The Devourers had left Earth with scrap, but humanity had replied with something that made the galaxy's predators. Remember why underestimating humans was always a mistake.